Welcome back to Wally's World of Fishing in Isolation.
Episode 4.
We've got a great show for you tonight, guys. We're going to give a really handy tip to boat owners as well as answer some of your questions. But as always, let's acknowledge our sponsors first. Big special thank you to Alexander's Fruit Market for supplying these strawberries. Their fruit and veg is always number one. Fish Candy, the best bait there is on the market. Give it a try. And Cucina Dolce, our major sponsor, who always supplies us with the loveliest pizza and pasta out there. But like I said, don't take our word for it. Jump online, go on Facebook, TripAdvisor. They're everywhere. They've got rave reviews. Please give them a try. Let's get straight into it. Yesterday we were talking about what we prefer to use, a gaff or a net. And silly me, I assumed that everybody knew what that was. And thankfully, our viewer Bill has written into us and said, Wally, thanks for the information yesterday, but what is a gaff? Well, this little pirate over here has a gaff. A gaff pretty much is this hook. As you can see the thread there, now that screws into a big pole. It actually fits on that net. You can unscrew the net and screw the gaff in instead. Used for the same thing, to bring the fish from the water into the boat without snapping your line. All you do with this is you lean over, hook it into the fish, and drag it in. Now the reason we don't use it that much is because if we need to release the fish, we haven't put a big puncture hole in it. It gives it a better chance to survive. So I want a special thanks to Bill for that question. Thanks for helping me clear it up. Lockie writes in, and Lockie asks, why does frozen fish smell awful? Well, Lockie, this is a bit of a long answer for you. Fish that we catch in the bay doesn't smell awful. What happens is when you bring it home and you gut it and clean it, you normally do it at the sink and you wash it with fresh water. Now the fish being salty, and you've got to remember bacteria doesn't grow very well on salt. Now the fish being salty absorbs the fresh water. Now when the fresh water is absorbed into the fish, the concentration of the salt becomes a lot less, which then encourages the bacteria to start to thrive and eat away at the fish, rotting its flesh. So by the time you put your fish in your freezer, the fish has already started to rot. So when you take it out next time, that's what that stinky smell is. So if you want to keep your fish really good, it's best to do it smart and do it from the start. I get an empty bottle of soft drink, I fill it with water, and I put it in the freezer. I take that fishing with me. I put it in the esky, and I add salt water on top of that. And when I catch my fish, I put them straight in the esky, and I leave them there. If I'm going to freeze that fish, I'll either clean the fish out there in the salty water, or I'll just come straight home, take them out of the salty water from the esky, put them in a bag, and straight in the freezer, and then I'll just clean them and gut them the day that I'm going to use them. Try to do it when it's half thawed, because that way you don't get your hands too dirty. The guts come out in one eye, like an ice block, and it's easier to fillet the fish as well because the flesh is nice and tough. It's not very soft if it's still half thawed. So, I hope that answers your question. Give it a try next time, and believe me, you'll see you'll keep your fish in the freezer for a lot longer than you normally would, and it'll smell and taste great. Carlos writes in, hi Wally, can you please tell me how I can stop my hooks from rusting in the tackle box? Well, that's one that we all deal with actually. What I like to do, Carlos, is I normally, after many years of experience, what I've started doing is keeping 2 tackle boxes in the boat. When I buy my packets of hooks and swivels and sinkers and whatnot and all the tackle that I get, I put them in one tackle box that's kept out of the elements. And I have a separate smaller tackle box that I'll just take, half a dozen of this hook, half a dozen of that, whatever, and I'll mix it up, just what I'm going to use for the day or what I use regularly. Because as you know, when you're fishing, your hands are in the salty water, you've got bait on them, it rains, you get splashed from outside, you're getting all excited and stuff goes everywhere. At least that way, if any of them do rust, it's only a couple of them, not the whole pack. Another thing you could do is spray a bit of WD-40 on them. Now, that'll help stop the rust from kicking in, but you've got to remember that won't last forever, so you've always got to reapply. So I hope that answers your question. Give it a try and let me know how you go. I'm sure your hooks will last you a lot longer. Now for Wally's World of Fishing's handy tip. This one's for boaters today, seeing most of us have packed our boats away due to the isolation. strongly recommend, guys and girls, start your boats once a week. You know, hook the water up to it, start it up, let it run for a few minutes. If you let it run for a few minutes, all the gaskets and the rubbers and that in the motor stay nice, well lubricated. They don't dry and crack, so you don't get any unnecessary leaks and damage inside your motor. And also, it gets rid of any excess salt that might be laying around in there, dry crystallized. If you do that, next time you go out for a day on the bay, you won't get any nasty surprises. And another thing to do is clean the steering arm. Get some WD-40 or CRC spray, silicone spray. Spray the arm well, get a nice cloth, wipe all the excess grease and grime off it. Chuck your kids in the boat, get them to steer the boat left and right. They love that. And while they're doing that, you just keep cleaning that arm and make sure when you're done, you give it a nice spray. Turn it all the way to the left so the steering arm goes inside its casing, and just leave it there. And that way, it'll work for you next time and it won't be all seized up over winter. Now, we're heading into Easter. We want to wish everybody a happy Easter here from Wally's World of Fishing. And seeing tomorrow's Good Friday. Hey Lara, did you hear about the fight at the fish and chip shop?
No, what happened?
Apparently 2 fish got battered.
Dad.
Thanks for tuning in to Wally's World of Fishing. We'll see you the other side of Easter.
Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.